Hi guys, Literary Prepper back again. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about how to do a birthday party on the cheap. Why am I talking to you about birthday parties? I am in the process of planning my little boy's first birthday party. Very exciting. Now, there's a lot of people out there who, for many reasons, say that they don't have money for things, that they can't afford to do bits and pieces, particularly when it comes to prepping. Always seems that there's money for all sorts of other bits and pieces. There's some genuine cases out there. I'm not sort of putting you all in a little box, but there are a lot of people who waste a lot of money out there. You can probably think of some examples from your own life of people who are always crying poor and yet seem to always have money to spend on unnecessary things as opposed to the necessities. Anywho, so I'm going to start off with these guys because they're in my hand at the moment and I want to get rid of them before I eat the whole packet. Potato chips are one of my weak points. So these guys, if you walk into the shop on a day where they're fully marked up, you can pay like $4, or I've seen them as high as $4.50 for a packet of chips. Now, for the party that I'm in the process of planning, we're looking at having about 40 odd people. So when you sort of haven't actually done the math on how many bags of chips I'm going to need, but when you're looking at $4.50 for a packet of chips, that adds up very quickly. Now, if you think about it in advance and have a little bit of forethought, like many things, instead of paying $4.50, you can pay $2 or $2.50 if you buy them on special and put them away in a place where little fingers or your husband is not going to find where they are and sort of eat them in advance. So tip number one, buy things like your chips and soft drink and all the rest of it in advance. I mean, what's the use by date on these? Like 2030 or something. You've got a long time before your potato chips are going to go stale. You've got a long time before your soft drink is going to go off when you're looking at planning things like parties. Unfortunately, we can't stock these long term for some pending crisis. These are going to be one of those things that they're not shelf stable forever, unfortunately. But when you're planning for a party, I mean, we're now in April and the party that I'm planning for is not until June. So there's no reason why I can't sort of buy a whole heap of these lollies, soft drink, other sort of packaged snacky things to have on the day and pop those aside. Those are our potato chips. So the theme that I'm going with for this birthday party, I went on to, first of all, I didn't actually start out with a theme. I jumped onto Vistaprint and had a look at their children's birthday party invitation templates. And one of the templates they had there was this adorable little dinosaur with a little party hat on, and I thought it was just the cutest thing. So it all was based around this, El Cheapo Vistaprint template that I found. So the invitations themselves, because they were one of the Vistaprint templates that was free, I didn't have to pay for the template. I think the invitations, including envelopes, to invite 40 people, I think came in at about $30, including postage. So, more expensive than if I had have rocked up to somewhere like Kmart or Big W or whatever and bought them from there. But I thought these ones were cute, and I didn't think that was a bad price for something that included envelopes, because we will need to mail out a number of them. So, considering that it's a dinosaur theme, the other thing that I think I actually might have found on like a website or something, I can't remember exactly where I saw it, looking at just really cheap and little bit cheeky ways of, you know, coming up with snacky stuff for, you know, a dinosaur themed birthday party, somebody came up with the absolutely genius idea of waiting until the Easter eggs go on sale. Now we're not far away from Easter at all at the moment, so just waiting for the Easter eggs to go on sale, and then I am going to do just that. I'm going to go down to Woolworths and, you know, buy up, you know, a sensible number of Easter eggs and just create little nests for them, and they can be dinosaur eggs instead of Easter eggs. It tastes exactly the same. I'm not sort of storing the chocolate forever, so it's not going to be shocked or melted or anything gross like that. By the time we eat them, they're only going to be stored for, you know, a little while longer. So that's what I'm going to do. So that is where the sort of chocolate confectionery component of this party is coming in from. You know, marked down Easter eggs, which are still in date when you buy them. So you know, just keep little things like that in the back of your mind. You know, things like, you know, the day after Valentine's Day when the chocolate goes on sale, or, you know, I wouldn't recommend going out immediately after Christmas, because Boxing Day scales honestly just scare the living whatever out of me, because yeah, I have a hard time not being trampled in the shop on a good day. So I don't go out sort of you know, the day after Christmas, but shortly after Christmas, sort of, you know, between Christmas and New Year's, again, you'll wind up with a lot of things that are marked down because they ordered, you know, excess and, you know, didn't sell whatever. So the other thing that I did, I went to Spotlight. Spotlight have a, you know, fairly decent sort of party section. So I had a look there, but the Spotlight that is, you know, closest to us didn't actually have any dinosaur type stuff. So what we did, we bought some cups, and you know, my mum was going to, she's got one of those Cricut printers. So if you haven't heard of a Cricut printer, it's like a, you know, prints and cuts like vinyl shapes. So she's going to make a whole heap of like dinosaur stickers to go over these cups. So there's normal green coloured party cups, and she's just going to make stickers so that, you know, they are now dinosaur cups. So you know, that's sort of, you know, her little project. She's, you know, a little bit too excited about doing that. But so I, you know, that's all I bought the other day from Spotlight. But then I had to go to Kmart for something else. And when I was at Kmart, I thought, hey, I'm here, I may as well check out what they have in their party section. And I found these. So these are just, you know, normal plastic plates. There are 16 in here, and they were $1.50. So you know, I bought several of those. Plates are always good to sort of have around anyway, so if we don't use them all, they just go up in, you know, the top of the pantry and wait for another party, or, you know, another time that we need sort of disposable plates or whatever. So yeah, that's, you know, $1.50. You can't really get much cheaper than that unless you go to those really flimsy, horrid white paper plates that you need, like, you know, 2 or 3 of before they're actually sort of structurally sound to, you know, hold whatever food it is. We're going to be having hot food, so I do not want these things to be, you know, folding in over my hand and burning me or burning someone else or whatever. So yeah, $1.50 from Kmart, green, you know, now dinosaur plates. While I was in Kmart, sorry, getting back to Spotlight. So Spotlight, the dinosaur balloons were also quite limited. So I got a couple of, you know, balloons that had happy birthday printed on them, but, you know, it's not really, it's not dinosaur theme. You want to go with a theme. So while I was in Kmart, I found these guys. So there are 12 helium quality balloons in that packet. So I also got a couple of packets of these. So we've now got, and how much were you guys? I think they were also like $1 or $1.50 or something, like really, really cheap like that. So got a couple of packets of those. So you can see it's sort of, you know, starting to evolve into, you know, a relatively decent sort of theme kind of deal. So we're having it at a park not too far from where we live, so we don't have to worry, unless it's, you know, poor weather, we don't have to worry about people sort of, you know, coming into our house and having to deal with, you know, all the cleanup and, you know, bits and pieces that go along with that. Having it, you know, at a park, we can, you know, use the barbecue at the park, and, you know, basically council can deal with the rubbish removal and all that jazz. Of course, if you do that sort of thing, you want to make sure that you clean up well after yourself and use bins provided, and, you know, all the rest of it. But yeah, we just thought that would be kinder to our house. Also means that, you know, without sounding too sort of paranoid, you're less likely to have breakages, and you're less likely to have, you know, inquisitive little people who are sort of in places they're not supposed to be, finding, you know, stockpiles of food or sharp things or whatever that, you know, are going to bring up, you know, awkward questions. Not that you want to be necessarily hiding the fact that, you know, you're a prepper from your friends and family, but it's really not a discussion that you want to be having in front of 40 odd people who know where you live. Especially when you know for a fact that some of them are, you know, against, like flat out against, you know, the whole prepping idea, which in itself I find really interesting. Like, how could you be against, you know, having a few spare bits and pieces around, so that, you know, anyway, different discussion. So, also you might want to grab a few of these. So parties, look, they can add up, but like with everything else, if you start planning in advance, you can do a lot more, and it, you know, it looks like you're spending a lot less. So I've got a couple of these. They're just your foil barbecue trays that you get from the supermarket. I think they come in like a pack of 10 or something for this size. So things like, you know, we're going to have, you know, a barbecue, as I said, so we're going to have like sausages, you know, burgers, and I'm going to make, you know, some veggie options for, you know, those who are non-meat eaters. So again, like, you know, things like, you know, your meat you can freeze and just defrost, you know, beforehand or whatever. So what do we, as I said, we're in April, party's in June, so your meat shouldn't be, you know, it should be completely fine over that period to, you know, sit and do its thing in the freezer and, you know, not come out all sorts of yuckiness. And honestly, I don't know about how long you can store plant-based products in the freezer, but it's a lot longer than what you can store meat-based products in the freezer. So vegetarian options are well and truly fine. So the way that I make my burger patties, sort of, you know, get like, you know, a sort of handful of mince and just sort of, you know, ball it and then press it out. So I have 2 trays in the freezer at the moment like this that have 6, 12, 18 patties each in them. And then I have sausages from the butcher. Everything tastes better when you get it from the butcher rather than the supermarket. Support your local butcher. So done up in like half dozen lots, so that, you know, if we have, you know, people who sort of pull out a couple of days beforehand or a week beforehand or whatever, we don't have to defrost like a massive amount of sausages or whatever. We can keep them in the freezer for, you know, another time, or we can, you know, have them for tea that night when people go home or whatever. So that's another option. So that, for me at the moment, I already have almost all of the meat. I think I need, like, you know, a couple of extra bits and pieces. I think I might need to grab a few more sausages, but I already have the mince like that I haven't sort of rolled up in the freezer waiting for me to actually process it. And I already have, as I said, 2 trays of burgers already, sort of done up into like your little burger rissoles and pressed out, and I sort of put 6 down on the bottom of the tray and then put some baking paper over them, then put another 6 and some baking paper and then another 6, and then just some foil over the top and just right on top how many are in there. So that's an easy way to sort of do up some food in advance. So when you start to do things like that, and I didn't just sort of go out and buy mince to do that specifically. I waited for a night where we were going to be having burgers anyway. So I made the burgers that we were going to have that night, and then with the leftover meat and bits and pieces, I just made up the rest of the meat. So the butcher down the road from us, sort of has a special so that you can buy sort of, I think it's 2 kilos of mince for $20, and they'll actually bag it up into different amounts if you want them to. So it's very easy to sort of go in and just be like, I want 2 kilos of mince, and off you go. You just divide up what you need for that night, or if you don't want to use it all right then do whatever you want with it, and then press it out, and it's ready to go. All we have to do for the meat side of things when it comes closer to the party is just take them out, pop them in the fridge, wait for them to defrost, and then pack them in the car, and off we go. Too easy. So being a little bit sort of prepared and forward thinking also cuts down on like running around on the day trying to prepare bits and pieces. So that's the other thing, is that birthday parties can be really, really stressful. So not only are you sort of putting your costs out over, spreading your costs over a couple of weeks or a couple of months instead of just all in one day in one go, and perhaps sort of doing something nasty to the credit card, or taking a massive chunk out of your personal savings. You're just tacking a few bits and pieces onto your weekly grocery shop instead, just like what we do with our normal sort of preps. So we've got another couple of weeks where we can continue to gather bits and pieces, and we've already made huge headroads into this particular party, so we can actually relax and enjoy it rather than trying to do all the meat and then do all of the salads and then pack everything into the car and run around and try to sort of organize people and all the rest of it. We can relax a little bit more. And really guys, when you sort of think about it, if you haven't actually given prepping any thought, then think about it like that. You don't want to be the person at the supermarket at the last minute trying to remember all of these different things that you really either you're going to forget or they're going to run out of or something like that. So you just want to be able to if something crops up, just chill. I also had going back a couple of years, we wound up with fairly large number of people who a particular celebration that we had, people came back to our place, and it was just supposed to be afternoon drinks, and afternoon drinks kind of dragged on, and it kind of got to that awkward point where we were getting really hungry, and people around us were not going, but because we usually always have extra food hidden in various places, at the last minute I was able to do things like make up a couple of big lasagnas and pull out extra chips and other various sort of snacky bits and pieces. So rather than sort of having to say, oh hey guys, do we want to order pizza, and ordering pizza where we are is not cheap, so that's for the number of people that were there, that would have been very, very expensive for us to try to order pizza. But because we had extra, food and supplies and bits and pieces, I just made note of what I used, and everyone thought it was brilliant because all of a sudden this food appeared out of nowhere. And then that can sort of lead into, well, have you guys considered doing something like that? As I said, you don't just want to sort of just start talking about prepping in front of everyone, but when you can actually give them an example like that, they can actually see how it sort of practically plays out. Then you can sort of maybe don't tell them that you've got a year or two supply of food hidden around the house. Maybe don't tell them that you've got an entire cupboard full of toilet paper, but you can definitely sort of work it into conversation that maybe they should be thinking about storing a few long life products just in case, and they can sort of build from there, and then you can sort of extend the conversation if they feel open to it. But I digress. So birthday parties, yeah, lots of fun. Obviously, if you're going with a different theme, then you can sort of have a look at what would suit your theme that you can prepare in advance. Maybe something like if you did want to sort of take advantage of things like post Easter sales or whatever, you could come up with like a an Alice in Wonderland type theme, or like a Bambi theme or something like that, and take advantage of all the little fluffy critters that are on special, or I don't know, there's all sorts of things that you guys can play with when it comes to birthday party themes. But for sure, I would definitely be saying buy things on special, because you can get so much more for your money, and it also means that you can buy the nicer brands. I mean, I really try to avoid buying the cheaper brands. Sometimes you can get like for like in cheaper brands, and that works out really well, but a lot of the times some of the cheaper quality stuff, you get what you pay for, and your guests will appreciate it if you can buy something that is a little bit nicer, and you can actually make them feel a little bit more welcome, rather than just, well, we had to feed you guys and this is what we could afford, so deal with it. So yeah, sort of having a little bit more forethought and planning means that you can buy the expensive chips. It means you can buy the expensive soft drinks. It means that you can sort of get the better quality meats and things to feed your guests. And it means that you can sort of pick up all these fun little things, because if I had to wait until the week of to try to run around and buy these things, you really don't have a lot of time to accidentally stumble across things that are totally suitable that you could just grab and stash away somewhere. So that's just my 2 cents for today. So if you guys have any kind of celebrations coming up, then good luck with your planning. And if you're just sort of trying to gather ideas on bits and pieces for the future, then depending on how far away your celebration is, maybe you could just keep a few things lying around the house anyway, even just for when you have guests who decide to randomly pop over. So yeah, if you found this useful, definitely share with your friends. Like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. If you guys want to support this channel, you can find us on Patreon. And yeah, for now, that's me, and I'll talk to you guys later.